A lot of people have been sending me questions about the lightsabers that I've been doing tutorials on, and I found that a lot of them are the same questions. So instead of answering them over and over again, I thought I would just make a short, frequently asked questions video where I can answer them all at the same time. No, they're not real. Star Wars is a movie. It's not a documentary. There's no such thing as a lightsaber. It's not a real thing. These are just props that are made from ordinary plumbing parts. They're completely hollow on the inside. There's no electronics. There's nothing inside. It's all fake. When I first started making lightsabers, I had the same problem. A lot of my buttons would pop off if I dropped the saber or somebody hit it. And the problem is because, like I did, most people use super glue to glue pieces on. And it doesn't attach very well to the chrome metal. It tends to pop off pretty easily. So the way to solve that is to use Gorilla Glue, which is what I use, and you can get this just about anywhere. It works really, really well, works a lot better than super glue does. The problem with it is that it takes a couple of hours for it to dry. So what I do, instead of standing there holding it for hours and hours until it dries, is put a little bit of super glue on the part first and tack it on, and that way the super glue dries real quick, so that sticks it on there good and tight. And then I use the Gorilla Glue to go around the edges and let that dry for a couple hours, then wipe off all the excess before it foams out all over the place. And then in a few hours, once that dries, your parts are on there really, really securely, and they're probably not going to break off. No, I don't sell lightsabers. I deliberately made the designs that I did so that they would be as cheap as possible, from parts that you can find just about anywhere, and simple things that just about anybody can do so that people can make their own lightsabers. So instead of buying one from me, go to a hardware store, pick up the parts, play around with them. Don't follow my design exactly. Don't just copy step by step what I do, but come up with an original design and be creative and make something for yourself. None of my lightsabers are copies of anything in the movies. If I wanted an exact duplicate of somebody's lightsaber, I could buy one in the toy store for a lot cheaper than I can build it. Instead of just copying somebody else's design, I prefer to do my own original design. So the important thing to me is to use the basic principles that I use, how to fit various pieces together and how to kind of switch things around to make sure they look good, and come up with my own designs that look good instead of just copying somebody else's. The lightsabers that I make are intended as movie props. They're not really intended for fighting with, but you can modify them a little bit to go ahead and use them for that. Basically what I do is take a wooden dowel that's about 3 feet long. You can get this anywhere, any hardware store have it. I take the back end of it and wrap foam rubber and then wrap tape around it to hold it on there securely. And I put just enough foam rubber so that I can kind of work it down inside the handle, because the handle is completely hollow, and it fits in there kind of tight. This is good for movies. The problem with it, if you want to use it for dueling, is that once you swing the saber around for a couple of minutes, it starts to work its way out from the momentum, and sooner or later it's going to come loose and come flying out. You don't want that to happen while you're dueling with it. So if you want to use these blades for dueling, you're going to need to modify them a little bit. And pretty much what you want to do is just drill a small hole somewhere in the handle, and then take a screw, put it in there, and screw it down into the wooden doweling. That secures it in there so it won't come flying out. And you can paint the top of the screw so that it looks sort of like a button or a dial or something. That way it won't be so noticeable. But once you do that, then you can use these for dueling. There are a bazillion different ways to make the lightsaber effect. You can find a dozen of them on the internet in an afternoon. They're all over the place. The way that I do it is to shoot a short clip of film and then import that into Adobe Premiere and export it as a film strip file, and that breaks each individual frame into its own picture. Then I import that film strip file into Adobe Photoshop, and the process is called rotoscoping. Basically what you're going to do is go to each individual frame and hand draw the blade on there, and then run a couple of different filters that will add the color and make it glow, and then export it back into Adobe Premiere, which will turn it back into a film strip. And that's how I do it.